Hello, and welcome back to the Cade and Joaquin Talk at You podcast, where today I have two special guests with me. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
I am your father.
And I'm your mother.
Yay! And you're here because Joaquin is dead, yes?
Yep, killed him myself.
Yeah, it was a big John Wick thing.
R.I.P.
He,
That pussy A.
What? What did you just say? What?
Is that not?
It's a thing.
That pussy A? Is that what you just said?
R.I.P. that pussy A.
Oh, of course.
Joaquin would get it if he was still alive.
If he was still alive, he's in that big podcast studio in the sky now, making a podcast, probably with someone who doesn't know how to podcast with him.
Yeah, I heard Gabriel's pretty bland.
Archangel Gabriel?
Yeah. No.
Just Gabriel?
Just Gabriel.
I have heard that. He's
Some
really
dude
bland too.
named Gabriel.
He's just really normal.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we get into the usual goofiness of the podcast, we're going to get a little serious, a little political, just briefly. I'm sure many of you have heard of the recent bullshit that was the overturn of... Is overturn the right word?
Yeah.
Of Roe v. Wade. So, quite frankly, fuck the Supreme Court for that one. It's ridiculous. That should be a base human right.
Yeah.
So in the description, I have put links so that you can donate to pro-choice charities and things that can help women across the nation. And I would really appreciate it if you have some extra dollars laying around if you would do that. I think that would be super neat of you. So thank you. Now,
Absolutely.
hyenas. They're crazy. Are they cats? Are they dogs? Who's to say?
I personally think cat, frankly.
Cat?
I think they're more dog-like. Science.
Yeah, I'm with Cat.
They're cat-like. I think it's because
Yeah.
the way that they laugh is very undog-like.
Absolutely.
I feel like laughter, if an animal's going to laugh, it's going to be a cat.
Yeah.
How do I always fucking break this? I always make this thing fucking drift away
They
from
also
me.
move a lot more like a cat than a dog.
Oh, yeah, they're creepy prowl.
Yeah.
Before we started recording this podcast, by the way, Joaquin's not actually dead, in case you were curious. You, Chloe, had said that you were surprised that we don't write down the topics we talk about on this show.
Yeah, I thought there was like a list, like a bullet point list of certain topics, ideas you could talk about. Because it seems like every time you want to move on from a topic, you already have the next one just right there. So I thought you were just going down the list.
It's literally just, it's like it's literally shooting fish in a barrel. That's what the podcast is. It's us standing above a barrel of infinite space, shooting as many fish as possible.
Yeah.
Because there's also, a lot of the time, I'm editing the podcast, and I'm editing out shorter bullshit. We did a whole thing about Top Gun in the last episode. That's just not in the episode. Oh, you have a visceral reaction to $1 billion grossing film Top Gun Maverick.
It came on like one of the streaming platforms when we were trying to find a movie last night. And I saw it and I was like, we should watch that. He was like,
Absolutely fuck not. I don't need that American war machine propaganda in my fucking brain.
exact words.
I thought that it was going to be because Tom Cruise has that front tooth.
Why the fuck would I give a shit about Tom Cruise's teeth?
Have you seen it?
I mean,
the man makes wildly entertaining films. B, his teeth.
Mission Impossible. Very
Mission
good
Impossible.
series.
So much fun.
So fucking good.
So fun.
Love it.
He has a tooth that is perfectly in the middle of his face.
Oh, wait. Yeah. That doesn't bother me. I've
It
seen
doesn't
some
bother
really
me either.
out of...
Pocket? Sand. Mouth.
Yup.
Out of mouth.
That's it.
Oops.
For a second, I thought you peed yourself.
I wish. This also breaks the illusion that we sit very far away from each other because Isaac is in both cameras.
Oh, that is cool.
And if you're an audio listener, imagine that Isaac is in both of your rear view mirrors, looking at you at the same time. He's approaching you. It's like the T-Rex scene in Jurassic Park all over again. It's very scary. He's coming towards you.
Oh my.
He's figuring out what's going to make your car cost several $1,000s at the local auto shop. Oh my god, he's found the small turtle that Jiffy Lube loses as their mascot in the brakes.
What is that turtle's name?
Lubus.
Yep, sure is. I do appreciate though when you tell the audio listeners what's going on, because I do half and half, like half YouTube, half Spotify.
I
appreciate when you do that.
Of course. I try to, because I always forget, and I know that there are people who are just listening. Like my mom is an audio listener. So I always am like, oh shit, people don't know what's happening if they're not watching. Yeah. So I gotta be like, all right, guys, here's the play-by-play. Right now, an ostrich has landed in the room. This is true. If you're listening on audio, this is true. If you're listening on video, don't fucking spoil the surprise. There's an ostrich here. It's going crazy.
Oh my goodness.
He's breaking everything. Oh my god. Oh my god, he's wearing Vans. He has white Vans on. Like that guy. That guy who wears white Vans. What's his name?
Daniel.
He has white Vans on like that guy.
So
in the Bible,
everyone's
favorite book.
In the Bible, the shittiest book ever written from the Bible. Purely a storytelling perspective. Absolute dog shit.
Some hardcore book criticism.
Yeah, sorry about it. If you like the Bible,
I'm more of an Old Testament guy myself.
Yeah, well, the Torah, you know.
Yeah. May I tell a quick story about the Bible?
Yeah, because I didn't have anything to say about the Bible and forgot all of it, and you were just looking at me expecting
well, it felt like you had something to say.
Yeah.
Famous filmmaker Mel Brooks made a film at one point called The History of the World Part 1, in which he recreated the Last Supper as a shot, but had himself behind Jesus holding a dinner plate as the halo. And he had this picture printed out and hung in his guest bedroom. And one time his wife Anne Bancroft's parents, who were incredibly religious, came over, and they're like, wow, we really appreciate that you have the Last Supper in there. And they did not notice that Mel Brooks was in the picture.
Oh, that is so funny.
It's amazing.
Can we take a moment to acknowledge that all cavemen were definitely clapping each other's cheeks?
Oh, left
just like
and
the
right.
Greeks. The Greeks were all up in each other's assholes.
Well, here's the thing, though. The Greeks were always like, no women.
Yeah.
But then they were like, you cannot be gay. But no women at the orgies.
Yeah.
Which is a weird double standard.
Pretty much every civilization pre-industrial revolution didn't have that many qualms about gay people, it doesn't seem like.
I wouldn't do that. Joaquin has put his whole mouth on that. Okay, now so is Isaac. I'm never going to use this microphone.
Yeah. How do you think I feel?
Yeah, I need to cleanse it somehow. I don't know how.
Yes, because my germs on your mouth is something...
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often.
It's because you have scary teeth. Your teeth are so sharp.
They are pointy.
Opened that bottle.
What?
You were sitting in front of me.
When did this happen?
I had a root beer bottle.
Uh-huh.
And like I have done multiple times previous in my life, I decided to open it with my teeth.
I have blocked this memory.
You were there twice for me doing this.
I don't like teeth stuff.
Both times.
I don't either. It makes me cringe.
It makes me hurt.
And both times had a visceral reaction.
That's probably why I don't remember it. My brain was like, hey, none of this. If it's tooth, it's gone. It's the same with putting like a knife down this way. So if you have like a knife vertical in the air, if it's slicing, I can for some reason deal with that. But slow, like beep, beep, like a psycho stab, I don't like that.
In what? In real life or in movies?
Yes.
You guys like having your blood drawn?
Dude, have I told you the story of when I had my blood drawn?
Probably.
I hadn't ever done it in my life. Except for maybe once when I was 15, I think. And even then, it wasn't the needle. It was just a little prick on my finger to check to see if I had diabetes. But when I went to have my physical this year, I went and they were like, have you have blood drawn before? And I was like, no. And they're like, cool, well, that's happening today. And I was like, great. So I leave. I'm sitting in this terrifying corner where everything is so sterile. And I'm just like, this is a fucking nightmare. Everywhere I look is scary. And there's not even anything to look at.
Yeah.
Then this really just so nice gremlin-looking old woman comes out. She was wonderful, except the first thing she goes, "Are you a fainter?" And I was like, "I don't know." She was like, "Cool." So she takes me in another room, and she's like, "You're gonna feel a pinch." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna talk a lot." So she puts it in, and I'm rattling shit off. I just made my film Wrong Address, so I was really talking about that. And then at the end, she started talking to me about real life serial killers, and I was like, "Well, you didn't really listen to what I said, but I guess you were doing something more important." Now, I'd never had blood drawn before, and she took 3 full vials of my blood. Like hot dog size vials of blood. And she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I don't know. She's like, you're okay. So I stand up. I'm like, I'm okay. I start walking. And then I start hearing this. I'm like, what is that? And then my vision starts to go black. And I decide, something has gone horribly wrong. So I stumble out into the waiting room, where at this point I have found a nice place to sit. And I've decided if I pass out, there's a lot of people in here who will be able to see me. So I'm sitting there. I can't hear anything, and I still can't really see. And I know at this point I'm very, very, very sweaty. So I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I stumble into the bathroom. I got one look at myself. I was the palest I have ever been, which is saying a lot, as I'm quite pale. And then I sat on the toilet, shit my motherfucking brains out harder than I ever had, stood up, looked at myself, I was like, oh, okay. And then I left.
Wow. That is something. I am a fainter, though, when it comes to giving blood. I've given, donated blood probably about, 6 times.
Wow.
I've passed out every time except for the first one.
The first one?
Yeah. Don't know why I didn't pass out that first one.
It's quite noble that you keep going back after.
Yeah. I haven't done it in a long time because it's like, oh, you have to give blood because people need it. You got to do it no matter what it takes. But then I was in therapy and I was talking about, because I had recently had one at school where I went after I swam for my class.
Ooh.
And then had not had lunch yet. So I'm in there eating as much as I can with little snacks they give you. And then I sit down to do it. Not good. I passed out twice. So they gave me double the money for doing it. And I told my therapist about it, and she was like, have you tried not doing that? And I was like, that's a good point.
Wow. Therapy works.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right. And then you skipped out of there, and you're like, I'm not going to give anyone my blood anymore. And then a vampire went, rats.
And I haven't passed out from giving blood since.
I wonder what happened in that time since. I wonder if anything changed about giving blood since then.
I wonder.
We'll never know.
I hope someone has started giving blood in my absence.
Yeah. Probably a vampire.
Do they have blood?
They do not, but I think that there might be one who just collects it and drops it off because he has extra. Yeah. And he doesn't want it to expire, but he's like, guy, I'm not going to fucking be able to eat all this. I just drained an entire kindergarten class, and now I just got all this extra blood laying around. I got to drop this off somewhere.
That would be good, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you watched the new vampire show on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
It's all right.
You don't seem to like it with your face, Isaac.
No. It's I feel like it's very girly.
What is
the two, it's like Romeo and Juliet, but a family of vampires and a family of monster hunters, and they're gay.
Favorite thing. That sounds really cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah, very cool, very inclusive, 2 strong female leads, LGBT presence.
You gonna hate on women?
No, I was literally just gonna say very CW. Very
very tropey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's nice to get a cliche.
Yeah. Sometimes I know what's happening next, and that's okay because there's comfort in that.
Yeah. I understand entirely. I do also like when a show like that breaks the formula. That's why I really like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because that show has the ideas, and because it was also made at the time where CW was considered peak television. That was, oh wow, you got budget. You're on a CW show.
Yeah.
When it was called the WB. And then they're like, hey, also, how about not this?
I want to start doing this thing in the friend group at large where we create brackets a la March Madness, and it's just completely meaningless bullshit that we get to argue about as if it's the most important thing to ever be on the face of the planet.
Like personal debate team?
Basically, yes.
I want to do that so badly.
We tried it.
Was it fun? Oh, that's not a face. That's not a good face.
We got very heated.
What was the 2 topics? What was the one that broke the chem's back?
Colors, which we have the same favorite color and
Mhm.
same favorite second color. So that one was too easy. So then we went on to shapes. And you have been here for our even versus odd with spoons and forks.
Yeah.
So you know that our brains just work differently.
Where did we land on that? Did we decide?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
For those who don't know, we had an argument of when you look at a fork, is it even or odd? And I believe Chloe had a different stance than me and Isaac.
Yes. And I'm very here about this because I love even numbers more than odd numbers.
Oh, I've switched then because I was going to say that a fork is even.
Yes, it is.
I don't.
And spoons are odds. Spoons are like the number 3, and they're just no. Mm-mm.
Because a
Not
fork
here
has
with them.
4 guys on the end, and
Yes.
a spoon is just 1.
Yes.
Wait.
Okay, you ready?
Okay, first of all, I'm not here to rehash this bullshit.
I don't remember this.
Fucking a fork does not have to have 4 prongs.
Then it's a trident, though.
No, it's not.
Or
It's
a
just a
dident.
fork.
What if it's 2? That's a dident.
No, that's a.
If it's 1, is it a knife or a spoon or a sword?
So spoons are circles. They are always circles.
Oh, I can see how that's even.
A circle is even.
I do have to say,
On
I
every
have seen a
front.
square spoon. I'm dead serious. I've seen a square spoon before.
That seems like the most inefficient thing ever.
See, where we are divided is Isaac goes by shapes. I go by feelings.
Mm-hmm. So what happened with the shapes? Where did that lead?
You know, I don't know. It just was not it.
It's because Chloe, which frankly is a good way to be, went into it as if it was like us having a conversation about our relationship, and like went into it with it being about compromise and like healthy communication. And in my opinion, the entire reason why this is a fun game
Is to not compromise.
is to not compromise or communicate healthily. It's an excuse to yell at your friends about stuff that does not matter.
Uh-huh.
So we were not on the same page.
Yeah, because the first one was a triangle versus a square. And I love a square. I do. But this
I can
one
get
really
behind the
loves
square.
a triangle. So after arguing for a specific amount of time, I was like, you know what? It's okay. As my partner, I'll let you have this one.
Oh, were you guys in teams? Or were you just going... Where is
We were
everybody...
going against each other.
Okay.
Like, we would bring up the 2 shapes and talk about them. But we could not make a decision because we both had one that we liked. So I let him have it.
Mm-hmm.
But he was not of that mindset. So then later on, there was one that I really, really wanted. So it's like, I gave you that one. Can you please let me have this one? And that was a no. It was a no. And that's where we called the game.
Because it's not the point of the game. You you shouldn't have gave it to me until you were willing to concede that my point was better, accurate. I don't know what fucking word to use.
I don't think we ever would reach that point, though.
Were you just...
which is also part of the point. You just argue forever.
Were you just trying to determine what shape you preferred, or was there a specific goal for each shape?
Yeah, it was just which one was better.
That's
like,
hard.
Looks better, feels better.
That feels really hard
It
to
is
debate.
because there's a bunch of different things. Because I like a square because all of the angles are the same, all of the sides are the same. So in math, it's really easy. A lot of them I came from like a math background of when I see them in math and have to use them, how easy is it? Like if I see a trapezoid, I'm like, get out of here. I don't want. No. Other than
You are reacting like a crazed chicken.
Yeah.
Like scratching at your gullet.
But Isaac does not think about it in math. This is how he thinks about it.
I do think about it in math. The entire reason I was team triangle is because triangles are one of the fundamental cornerstones of all math. Trigonometry is completely triangles and the angles found within triangles, as well as circles, which a circle...
Trigonometry. Everybody's favorite sequel to trigonometry.
Yeah, and a circle is one of the best shapes to ever exist, hands down. I think we can all agree about that.
I like circle.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Glad we
When
at
I
least
was
get
in
that one.
Preschool, they used to have everybody sit on what they called circle. And one time I came home and I went, They tell us to sit on circle, but it is not perfectly round. They should say that we need to sit on oval. And my mom was like, you're so fucking weird.
I used to have a big issue with crisscross applesauce because I didn't view it as a cross. Because to me, a cross was
Like Jesus cross?
not necessarily, but a cross was like right angles.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had to be like an X at the very least.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, this isn't crisscross anything. This is jumbled spaghetti bullshit.
Everybody sit spaghetti style.
Yeah.
I would love it if it was called spaghetti
Isn't
style.
that so much better?
That's so much better.
That's what.
Oh, we need to get that ball rolling. I have a question for both of you guys, just viewers of the podcast. Do you consider, and this might not apply to you as much, Chloe, do you consider Cade and Joaquin Talk At You, the podcast, a reboot or a sequel to our original Cade and Joaquin in the Morning?
That's such a good question. I have to think about that.
I had been considering, I personally, well, I'll say after because I don't want to sway your opinion, but I'd been thinking about it for a long time because I was very interested in the idea of what it was. Chloe, you seem to have an answer, maybe?
Well, I was just going to let you know that I've only been listening to this one. I haven't seen the other one.
You don't need to go back. You don't need to go back. So Isaac, what's your answer on that?
I believe it is a reboot.
So do I.
Yeah. Is Joaquin of the sequel mind frame? Of course
I think
he
I
is.
said it to him, and he said sequel, and I may have persuaded him into saying that it's a reboot, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm going to be so curious what texts I get from Joaquin when this episode comes out, since he's not here.
You guys are very good at talking about absolutely nothing for a very long time.
We used to not. In the old Cade
I
and
was there.
Joaquins, oh my God, they're so bad. I wish someone had told me. There's a lot of silence. There was one episode that I saw that was just called Large Swaths of Silence, and I was like, that one's getting the kibosh. Get the fuck off the channel. And we used to sing a lot. We used to just be sitting there, and they'd be like, oh, baby, give me one more chance. And I was like, why are we singing right now? Nothing has spurred this musical number.
There was one episode where I think it was Joaquin that was singing.
Of the podcast?
Of this one.
Oh.
Because he was singing something, and then it got stuck in my head. Because it was stuck in his head.
I physically can't remember anything that we say or do on this podcast.
It's all good. I think what I like about this podcast is when I put it on, because I am not a fan of podcasts. I can't watch them. They make me angry. This is
angry?
the first podcast that I've been able to listen to that doesn't make me angry.
Yay.
I remember the first time I tried listening to it, I was on my way to study for an exam, and it was in the morning, which already makes me angry. And I was going to put on a podcast, and I was
Double
like,
angry.
I am not keeping an open mind. But it was really good, and I liked it.
I appreciate that.
But what I like about it is it mirrors how my internal dialogue is. Like, there's just always shit going on, and it doesn't really matter what it is. It's just there.
We're really chaotic.
Yes, I love that.
Is that the main reason, that's why you don't hate it as much?
Yeah.
That's awesome. There's arguments that we've had on this podcast where I know I'm right at the start, but then about halfway through the argument, Joaquin has been going for so long where I'm like, am I wrong?
Is he gaslighting you?
He's not on purpose. It's not an on purpose gaslight.
You and Joaquin argue a lot, and it baffles me that both of you are equally as not even swayed, but lost.
Yeah, in the argument,
eventually you both have no idea what you actually thought at the beginning of any argument.
It goes on for too long.
Yeah.
And my problem is, and this is with everyone, while I argue, I'm always slightly changing my stance to be able to more easily win. So at the end, what I'm arguing could be entirely different.
If you were right, you wouldn't have to do that.
Correct.
No, that's not true. Cade would do it anyway.
Yeah.
He's gonna go to whatever. Here's the thing. Cade is
I don't care about being right.
Cade is a charlatan and a serial bullshitter. It's one of the many reasons we're friends. Despite the fact I hate it immensely in most scenarios. It's what he's best at. It's the only thing I believe he can do better than just about any other person on this planet, and it angers me immensely.
I understand also, why it would infuriate you. I love it, though. There's nothing I love more than being a charlatan only about stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it's important, I do not want to be a charlatan about it.
Yeah.
If I'm like, dogs legally have to wear shoes, I'm so there for that. I also will lie. I'll create lies preemptively. In a couple weeks, I'm going. Not a couple weeks. I don't know when the fuck shit's happening.
That's smooth.
I'm going to with Audrey and one of her friends for a day because I want to get a shot of the castle that's down there. But in order to do that, I'm afraid that they're gonna kick us out of there if I bring out a camera. I haven't told either of them this yet, but my plan is that we're gonna go there and I'm gonna tell them this. One of you is a travel influence vlogger. I am your cameraman. The other one of you is the manager. We are not trying to get shots of the castle to use independently. This is your stop in your Across the Americas tour, in which you're visiting the largest house in all of America. Something that used to be a residential house. And your viewers have been very excited about this. Ooh.
Bye, Isaac.
Adventures happening. Wow, without Isaac in that frame, you look so far away.
Right? No, it really does look like we are across the room from each other.
We are far.
Or it's at least a really long
couch. Me and there we go.
Yeah,
me and Joaquin have talked about doing a podcast where we just sit at opposite ends of the room.
You could.
And we
wouldn't, because the background of these two couches look the same. You really could, and you would not be upset. I mean, from the background, yeah.
I just realized where Isaac went. I am 100% certain.
I knew when he was getting up exactly where he was going.
He's pooping himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had Mexican for dinner, and he had a milk-based drink this morning for breakfast.
Oh.
Yeah, he was still asleep, and it was so loud, him gurgling, his intestines.
Oh.
And he was asleep, but it sounded so painful.
It's the worst when you're asleep and you get waken up because you have to poop. It's such a painful situation.
I thankfully have never had this situation.
That happens to me so often. Because I'll just be sitting there, and then I'm like, oh. And then you're trying to stay asleep. You're like, I can wait. And your butt's like, guy, if you don't fucking get up right now, you're going to have to change these sheets. Are you okay?
It's very hard middle piece.
Yeah, the middle has no padding.
Right up my ass crack.
We figured out where you went. Cool.
I think we were wrong, though.
Yeah, you were quick.
Yeah, I just had to pee. I've been holding it since we started.
Oh, you could have told me. We could have waited.
Nah.
Cool. And I felt... Did you just lick your shoulder and they go...
Yeah, I thought there was a crumb on it.
Usually, we are in a situation where that is not immortalized.
Yeah. Well... Everyone has that moment sometimes.
Yeah. Everybody has those days. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Everybody gets that way.
Oh, fuck, I fucked it up. Is that a Hannah Montana song?
Yes. I don't know, man, but look, we've all been in that position where you think you have jam from your peanut butter and jelly sandwich on your shirt, and you go to lick it off and it's blood.
You started talking, and I realized I had no idea what you were talking about until we got back to the shirt, and I was like, got it. I was up to speed. Until then, I was lost. I was like, what the fuck? Or is this Hannah Montana related?
Yeah.
Ketchup as hand moisturizer. They get it.
Only they get it? Because I certainly don't. Do you get it?
No.
Okay.
They get it. And if they is just me later.
Get that.
Do you really?
I remember that episode of Hannah Montana.
In the cafeteria.
Yes. And they're fucking squirting it like crazy.
Yes.
That fucking... unearthed a memory in me.
Yes.
And now all I'm thinking about is the Sweet Life on Deck where she loses her wig and then everyone's like, you've lost your wig. And she's like, it's okay. I have a second one. And you're like, all right, crisis averted. Glad we spent 30 minutes with you on this boat, Hannah Montana.
I loved Zack and Cody.
I also love Zack and Cody.
I've watched every episode.
Me too.
I'm not sure I've ever seen an episode of Hannah Montana, but I've definitely for sure fucking seen every episode of Sweet Life on Deck and the original Sweet Life
Great
of Zack
shows.
and Cody.
I have, and I realized this strange thing. I recently played a video game called The Quarry, in which Brenda Song is one of the main characters. And my brain went, isn't it fucking weird that as long as I've had object permanence, Brenda Song has been in my life?
Yeah.
That's so weird to me. I've known her my whole life, from when I called her London Tipton because I didn't know her real name to now where I'm like, oh, hey, Brenda Song. What are you doing here, you kooky kid? That's what I get to call her because we're friends. I would also like it to be noted, all of us are wearing shoes.
And they're all Vans.
All Vans. Fuck you, Joaquin. We're all wearing shoes.
Yeah, fuck you, Joaquin.
Does Joaquin not wear shoes?
He doesn't like that I don't feel comfortable not wearing shoes on the podcast. I don't want to make the show if my feet aren't covered.
I feel like I could do it just because my feet aren't really in it, but I just happen to already have my shoes on.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could for sure do it without shoes on.
I've done it without shoes on. I don't want to have my bare feet out for some reason.
I would need socks.
Understandable. Put that shit behind a paywall. Ain't no one getting that for free.
Yeah. $8.
$8.
A toe.
That's whoa.
$80 feet.
Joaquin gotta respect the lack of hustle to just put your toes out there on the internet for free.
He also isn't barefoot ever.
Oh, then what the fuck does he care if he also has shoes on?
I just think he doesn't care if he's not wearing his shoes. He might not wear shoes, but most of the time I've put shoes on to record the podcast.
Yeah.
I think that's odd. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think it is weird that you don't have shoes on and you will leave and go get shoes and then put them on.
Sorry, for the audio listeners, Isaac put out his hand because him and Chloe are sharing a microphone, and Chloe just started talking on a new tangent. Isaac slowly put his hand down.
Here you go.
I don't even know what the fuck it's on. I really want to do an episode, which is completely stolen from the concept of the Judges podcast. Mm-hmm. Great podcast, by the way. Check it out. Always plug in the pod.
One time on this podcast, Joaquin tried to play part of another podcast. And I was like, dude, why are we doing this right now?
Joaquin's weirdo.
It was a really odd choice, in my opinion.
And you and Joaquin can just veto this idea because it's your podcast and it might not be something that's interesting or fun to y'all. But I think I've told you about their basic concept before where you just pick out like Reddit stories and shit. But if you do decide to ever do that, episode. I'd like to be invited.
Okay. Originally, my plan was to, once we have the ability to do 3 microphones. But quite honestly, this is so funny to make 2 people share a microphone.
I'd love to share a microphone with Joaquin.
I think you're both just fully putting your mouth on it.
Yeah.
It would be the moistest object. I have to get a new one.
Me and Joaquin share plenty of saliva and other bodily
fluids.
Remember when I used to call trees slaplings?
No.
Instead of saplings?
I do not.
Yeah, it's when we used to do Minecraft YouTube videos we recorded on a fucking camcorder.
That's adorable. Did you do it on purpose or like you just thought they were called slaplings?
It was on accident at first, but upon finding out that it wasn't that, I decided that I would rather call them that anyway because I used to use them as weapons.
That's I do that with one thing. I say a lot of words weird like Florida. And I truly, that's not me attempting to say it weird. That's just how my voice says it. I say Florida like how I say aorta.
It's so gross.
The one that I say purposefully wrong is McDonald's.
Oh my God.
I know it's McDonald's, but I think it's so funny. I think it's A, very funny to call it McDonald's, and B, I actually prefer saying McDonald's for some reason.
McDonald's. Yeah. Wait, say Cameron, because that's my brother's name.
Cameron.
Cameron.
I turn into a beetle whenever I talk about Cameron. But I can say camera regular, which is weird.
Yeah, that is
more
weird.
regular than Cameron.
Camera, you flip-flop back and forth. Sometimes it's camera, and sometimes it's camera.
I feel like I've heard that.
Yeah. It's a real heat of the moment thing. There was, I think it was last episode or maybe the episode before, Joaquin, I said French onion soup. And every possible part of emphasis was wrong in the way that I said it, to the point where even my brain was like, whoa, what happened here, guy?
Yeah, I remember that. And frankly, I think it was just like, to me, that one isn't one of your examples of like, you just pronounce shit wrong. To me, that was like borderline had a stroke.
Yeah, my brain
type of
just
thing.
didn't know what to do.
Yeah, you just stopped working for a second.
It wasn't. Yeah, it's not like when I talk about something where I'm like, yeah, I was in Florida for the weekend.
Yeah,
Dude, when I was 3 years old, my parents used to have a bed at the base of their bed where I would sleep, and I was watching something on the TV on Animal Planet about horses, and then I remember, you both are gonna make fun of me, I remember seeing outside my window none other than Manny the Mammoth from the Ice Age film franchise.
I remember this story.
And I was scared shitless. We both screamed at each other. He takes off a running. I take off a running in my parents' bed. I close my eyes and go to sleep. I have had the perpetual fear for my entire life that I've never woken up after that. My whole life could be a dream based off of seeing Manny the Mammoth. And I'm terrified of that.
That would explain so much
I got
about
something for
you.
I do have something that might help. Any person that has ever been in your dreams is someone that you've seen in waking life. And you
Like
would not
Manny
have
the
seen
Mammoth.
me before that dream happened.
But-
so
You could be a person that doesn't have anything to do with Chloe. And I just saw you, and then my brain...
where would you have seen me?
You could have been like a person named Larry that I saw around where I used to live. And then all of a sudden, years later, you've just been created into this wonderful person in my brain.
Or maybe I'm also sleeping.
Oh, we're connected like the Matrix?
Anytime I have like a dream with someone else in it.
What is this face? Yeah, never mind.
Anytime that I have a dream with specifically either my cousin Beth or my brother Casey, I always ask them about it because
Are they comfortable with their names being out on the podcast?
probably
Okay, cool.
Casey does not care. He's in a frat.
Okay, cool.
He doesn't care.
I just want to make sure so I don't have to censor.
Yeah. And so I always text them and see if they had that dream. They haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think me and Beth might have had one time where we happened to have the same dream.
Well, we
But yeah.
ended on dreams, as life is sometimes. Or it's a nightmare. Forever.
Shout out to MLK and his dream.
He sure had one.
From a couch full of gross white people. Bunch of...
Did you guys ever watch this school special? This will be the last thing I talk about, where a kid went back in time and saved Martin Luther King, where he was like a kid playing baseball, and then he brought Martin Luther King to the future. He's like, look at how cool it is because you fucking got shot and died. And then his friend who spoke Spanish was cleaning up the water fountain, and he was like, Linda, how are you? And she was like, no habla inglés. He's like, I broke the past by stealing Martin Luther King.
What the fuck are you talking about?
It was a thing they showed us at school.
Well, I guess you weren't there. No. Abortion, fucked up. The Supreme Court is not going to stop there. They already have their sights set on gay marriage, same-sex intimacy, all of your privacy rights. They basically want the police to be able to do whatever the fuck they want. Your vote isn't enough. Go out in them streets, protest, make connections with people in your communities so that everyone can support each other without the complete oversight of the government. And stay safe. Pretty please.
Remember your Miranda rights, because they won't tell you.
And bring them lemon squares. Everyone likes everyone now.
One of
And
the
then the Full House theme plays.
honey buns and